Are you thinking about leaving Canada to head to the US? Well, Austin, Texas might be the perfect place for you. In this video, I'm going to break down why so many Canadians are choosing to make the move to Austin, Texas compared to other areas. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jordan Brown. I am your Austin, Texas area realtor, and for the last 5 years, I've helped people make the decision to move to or from Central Texas for a variety of reasons, facing many different situations. And look, before I even get too far into this video, I've got to say this is not meant to be a political statement at all. I am probably one of the least political people that you will ever meet. I've got friends on all sides of the aisles, and I have no beef with Canada. And I hope Canada doesn't have beef with me, because some of my best friends that I've made since moving to the Austin, Texas area are from Canada and in my hockey group. And they're some of the best people that I know. So I hope that you'll come to this video with an open mind and not look at this as my plea as to why living in the US is better than Canada. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are people that move to the United States each and every day, and some happen to be from Canada and vice versa. So I'm hoping that this video will tell you why I love personally living in Central Texas compared to some of the other places that I've lived before, and maybe draw some comparisons to where you're living now. By and large, one of the primary reasons that Canadians are moving to Austin, Texas is because of the economic development, the economic boom that Austin has compared to a lot of Texas, and really compared to a lot of the country. Apple, Tesla, Google, and many more corporations have a large presence in Austin, Texas, which is making it an employment hub for many people with higher earning degrees or higher earning jobs. And there's no sign of this slowing down. These companies are doubling down on Austin. While there's, different articles that you're going to read that are about empty office spaces, these major corporations are really doubling down on Austin, Texas, and expanding. It's really exciting for the area, and also just really great for the economy here and for its residents. So really, if you're in the major three, which is finance, healthcare, or tech, Austin, Texas is one of the places that you need to consider moving to. So the next reason is, while Austin, Texas is not the cheapest place in Texas to live, it is cheaper compared to a lot of the major Canadian cities. Housing costs, groceries, gas, they're all usually cheaper here than they are in some of the major cities like Toronto or Vancouver. Texas is also a no state income tax state. So before I get too high on this point, it is worth noting that while you won't pay state income tax, usually you're paying a little bit higher on property taxes. So we'll just call that a wash. I mentioned earlier that I met a lot of my Canadian friends from a local hockey group. So I'm going to slip into a little something more fitting for that for this next segment. There we go. Much better. Let's get these lights changed too. There we go. I am a huge, huge, huge hockey fan. And growing up in rural Texas, there was no one I could share my fandom with. No one knew anything about hockey. I don't even think it was on the local TV stations. And so when I moved to Austin, one of the first things that I did was get an advertisement on Facebook for a local ball hockey group. Now, again, growing up in rural Texas, there were no rinks for me to learn how to skate or anything of that sort. So I was super stoked that there was an option for me to get plugged into the sport that I love that didn't require me to go buy thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of equipment or anything of that sort. I could just pick up a stick, get a helmet, and go meet up and play. And I thought that was awesome. And that group was started partly by some of our Canadian partners. I'm actually helping a guy right now who's moving here from New Jersey. And he said, Jordan, my son is real big into hockey. He plays. It's an absolute priority that we are by one of the rinks. And I just love the fact that Austin has not just one, but two local areas that have rinks available for public skating. They have competitive play. They've got free skates, all that good stuff. Around my area here in North Austin, the North Austin suburbs, in Cedar Park, we have what is called the Crossover. The Crossover is a fantastic multi-sport facility. It's got 2 Olympic-sized rinks, which I think is awesome. It's got an outdoor sports entertainment area where you can watch some of the games. I go and watch the Winter Classic, and it's cool because when that happens, they have this big outdoor TV, and the Winter Classic happens usually when there's kind of like a lull in the other sports going on. So I'm able to go in, there's no one to compete with for the TV, and I can watch that major sporting event for hockey outdoors on a big screen. And then a little bit closer to central Austin, you've got the Pond. The Pond is a really popular skate rink that has, again, the competitive play, free skate, and other options for the hockey player in your family. And not to mention, in nearby Cedar Park, if you've got Austin right here, the next city up is going to be Cedar Park, and then there's Leander where I live. So in Cedar Park, we have the HEB Center. And the HEB Center is home to the Texas Stars, the AHL affiliate of the Dallas Stars. You might be able to tell by the colors I've got, the jersey I've got on. I'm a big Dallas Stars fan. I've been able to watch players like Rupe Hintz, Denis Gurianov, and Jason Robertson, and a handful of other guys come through the development feeder team here. No matter how you feel about the Spit and Chicklets podcast, I love that when they have different players on, even some of the hosts, I think Ryan Whitney's talked about this, Paul Bissonnette, they talk about how awesome the Texas rink is and how the barn is loud. We have sellouts all the time. It is a great place for hockey that you probably wouldn't think would have any kind of support for it. So Austin, when it comes to the hockey culture, it's got it. So if you're moving to Texas, but being around hockey is one of the things that's a priority for you, aside from Dallas, which obviously has the Dallas Stars, Austin is going to be your next best thing. And if you are moving here and you need any connections with those local Facebook groups, or even just want to connect with some of your fellow Canadians that are here in the area, I've got just the groups for you. Send me a DM on Instagram or something of that sort, and I'm happy to get those over to you. My last point about hockey before we move on: go Stars. Next, let's talk about the weather and the outdoor lifestyle that Austin, Texas offers. Since I moved here in 2015, I've actually experienced snow here a handful of times, and that's a lot more than I ever thought that I would living in Texas, but it's nothing like Canada experiences. So in the Central Texas area, you're going to have a lot more mild and manageable winters versus some of the harsh winters that you guys are probably used to experiencing. And I know that's area dependent. I don't want to make it sound like I just think all of Canada is just blanketed in snow at all times, blizzarding. I know that it's not, but for the most part, whenever you think of Canada, here in the States, we usually think of the winters are probably pretty gnarly. It's because of these mild winters that we're able to offer kind of a wide assortment of activities year round. Hiking, kayaking, music festivals like ACL or South by Southwest. There's always something going on to enjoy the city, to enjoy the outdoors in Central Texas. And one of my favorite things about being in this area specifically is the proximity to not only the lakes, but also the Texas Hill Country. Your weekends could look something like this. Maybe one weekend you're down at Town Lake and you're paddleboarding with the skyscrapers of downtown in the backdrop. Maybe you're taking a dip in Barton Springs. And then the next day, you could go enjoy an assortment of wineries in Fredericksburg or Dripping Springs, and you're in the hill country of Texas. So you get a nice variety of what kind of backdrop you want for the weekend. I love that. So for an outdoorsy person, I think this is one of the best places to be. The Austin, Texas housing market has been through a lot over the last 5 years. We went through some insane growth during the pandemic times where prices were doubling, and then now for the last 2 years, prices have deflated back into the realm of normal-ish. And one thing that I know from my partnerships with realtors in Canada is when I talk to them, Austin, Texas provides more house for the money than places like Toronto or Vancouver. That's just a general statement. I'm sure there's pockets that are either more affordable, more desirable. I get that. But in general, Austin, Texas and its surrounding suburbs are going to offer you more of the house for less of the money. So if you're looking to move here, that's great news for you. And also there's a wide variety of houses, everything from downtown condos to master plan communities. We have it all. And personally, after seeing this dip over the last 2 years consecutively, I think that we are nearing the bottom for Austin housing prices. That is just my prediction. I absolutely reserve the right to be incorrect on that. But I just think with, as I mentioned earlier, all the investments that major companies are making here and still the strong interest in the Central Texas area, I see only future appreciation for those who have a long-term plan to stay here. Next, let's talk about Austin's community and culture. A lot of people, when they think of Texas, they think of dumb. I'm just laughing because it's funny to say out loud, and I'm not oblivious to what people perceive Texas as. That we're dumb, we're rude, we ride to school on horseback. I've heard it all over the years. But in reality, Austin, Texas is one of the best places in Texas to live. And that is largely in part to we have a very, very diverse community. There are people from all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, education levels. There's a little sprinkle of it all around our area. And Austin, compared to a lot of Texas, is known for its friendly, laid-back vibe. Earlier, I mentioned that we have live music festivals, ACL, South by Southwest, which is a huge economic driver of our area. Those are all things that you don't get everywhere in Texas. And then there's a massive food scene here. You'll see San Antonio and Austin beefing with each other about who has the best tacos. And then LA chimes in about their tacos.
But Howard used to know that Vikings and tacos aren't better in LA.
They are.
Aren't they?
Everything's better in LA.
Says who?
People in LA.
Anyway, I'm just happy that there's a lot of options. Austin has a slogan, which is keep Austin weird. And while that has lost a little bit of its flair and meaning over the last decade due to a lot of like the local spots that made it quirky, a quirky city being replaced by condos and high rises, that'll do it, right? But Austin is still a great place for local businesses. And then there's no shortage of entertainment options too, whether you're into comedy or drinking or dining or shopping, movie experiences, whatever it is that you're into, Austin has it. And I cannot say that for everywhere else in Texas. I grew up in rural Texas in a small town that Business Insider called the most boring city in Texas. So for someone like me, when I graduated and I was looking for somewhere to move to that had tons of options for me to keep me entertained, Austin was the place. And that's by no coincidence. It's because they fostered a culture of entertainment and quality of life here. Austin also has some of the highest rated school districts in all of Texas. You can find those in Austin proper. You can find them in the suburbs like Leander, Texas, which is where I live. We're ranked number 11 out of over 890 some odd school districts. This is all really important stuff if you have a family, and education is big. Austin puts a priority on that. This is kind of a sidebar here, but Austin also makes it easy to travel back to Canada. Austin Bergstrom Airport has direct flights from Austin to Canada and some of the major cities. And also, you're not dealing with any time zone differences like if you were moving to somewhere like California. I really didn't want to make this video too long, so hopefully this has given you an idea of some of the basics as to why I love living in Austin, Texas, and why Canadians who are moving from Canada to the US are considering Austin over other parts of the state or the country. So next for you, we've got to talk about a brief overview of what your options for moving here looks like. Professionals need to look into getting their TN visa. You could look for a work sponsorship, or if you're looking at an investment opportunity, there's a different path that you take for that. And I can't stress enough where if you're going to be moving here, it's a really, really good idea to work with someone, a realtor specifically, who knows the area, who knows what's important to you, who knows the housing market. So if you're in the market, you're looking for a realtor to help you with this transition into the United States, and you're looking at the Austin area, I'd love to be a resource for you. My contact information is going to be down in the description below. I've also got a link to my free buyer's guide that might get you an idea of some of the basics about home buying here in the States. So what do you think? Hopefully this didn't come off in any way, shape, or form as some kind of political positioning or saying that Canada sucks or the US sucks or anything like that. I'm just very proud of the area that we live in. I'm very lucky to be here. And I know that many other people are looking to move to the area for a variety of reasons. And I hope that came across in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.